The most perplexing and consistent phenomenon in the entire study of psychedelic experience is the near-universal encounter with seemingly autonomous, intelligent entities reported by users of N-dimethyltryptamine, or DMT. Unlike the variable, culturally influenced visions of other psychedelics like LSD or psilocybin, DMT consistently propels users into a hyperreal, more real than real dimension populated by beings that are astonishingly consistent across subjects of different backgrounds, beliefs, and expectations. Dr. Rick Strassman, who conducted the first U.S. government-approved psychedelic research in decades, dubbed this the single strangest fact in his studies. Ordinary people, with no prior knowledge of DMT lore, independently describe nearly identical entities and environments. This phenomenon challenges our basic assumptions about consciousness and reality. In this video, we'll delve deep into the phenomenology of this realm, the nature of its inhabitants, and its startling implications for our understanding of consciousness, reality, and human purpose. We'll explore what DMT users consistently report, from the initial tunnel to the intricate architecture, and the messages they receive. The experience typically begins within seconds of inhalation or injection. Users describe being violently, yet not unkindly, propelled through an ageometric tunnel or vortex at impossible speeds, often accompanied by a high-pitched vibratory hum or carrier wave. This tunnel resolves into what many call the chrysanthemum or the dome, an infinite, tessellated, self-replicating fractal architecture made of what appears to be living, intelligent geometry. This environment is described not as a hallucination, but as a place, a locale with its own physics, ecology, and inhabitants. The overwhelming consensus is that this dimension feels more substantial, more detailed, and more authentic than baseline reality. Neuroscientist Andrew Gallimore describes this as ontologically startling. It challenges the very nature of what is real. Users report that their ordinary life suddenly feels like a distant, dimly remembered dream in comparison. This quality is central to understanding why these experiences have such a profound, often paradigm-shattering impact. The transition from our world to the DMT realm is often accompanied by a sense of acceleration, a feeling of being pulled through a narrow passage, and then an explosive release into a vast, colorful, and deeply meaningful space. The entities encountered in the DMT realm are remarkably consistent across different users. The most famous are the clockwork elves, or self-transforming machine elves, a term popularized by ethnobotanist Terence. These beings are often described as small, playful, and constantly morphing, made of living geometry and light. They appear to be working on something, weaving reality itself. Then there are the gnomes, or jester entities, which are dwarf-like or mischievous, often testing the traveler with riddles or paradoxes. Another common type is the mantid or praying mantis beings, tall, insectoid, and often perceived as more authoritative or clinical. They seem to be observing or guiding the experience with a detached intelligence. Less common but powerfully archetypal are the serpent, or Ouroboros beings, representing cycles and cosmic wisdom. Finally, some users, particularly at very high doses, report merging with or encountering an ineffable presence that feels like the conscious source or architect of the entire dimension. A pantheistic, omniscient intelligence often interpreted as God, the goddess, or the cosmic mind. These entities are not random. They appear to have purpose and agency, and they interact with the human traveler in meaningful ways. Despite the bizarre nature of these encounters, a remarkably coherent set of themes emerges from the communication users report. The entities are almost uniformly portrayed as didactic. They are there to teach, show, and reveal. A common initial message is, "We are always here. You just don't normally perceive us." This suggests that the DMT dimension and its inhabitants interpenetrate ordinary reality at all times. But our baseline consciousness is filtered or gated to exclude this perception for practical, evolutionary reasons. DMT is described as a key that temporarily opens this gate. Another frequent teaching is that reality is constructed, the entity's present reality as a conscious information system. The fractals and geometric patterns they manipulate are portrayed as the fundamental code, the source language underlying physical manifestation. Perhaps the most common download is an overwhelming, non-conceptual understanding that love is not an emotion, but a fundamental force or substance in the cosmos, the actual fabric from which the geometry is woven. Users return insisting that love is real in a literal, physical sense. Additionally, the experience consistently shatters the narrow identification with the personal ego. The entities treat the human traveler not as a limited biological organism, but as a fragment or projection of a much vaster, eternal consciousness that is merely having a human experience. Finally, many reports suggest that human consciousness serves a cosmic function, to generate novelty and aesthetic appreciation. Our struggles, art, and evolution are seen as valuable contributions to a larger process of cosmic becoming. DMT is endogenous. It is produced naturally in the human brain, primarily in the pineal gland, though this is debated. It is a potent agonist for the 5-HT2A serotonin receptor, the primary keyhole for psychedelic effects. However, its effects are distinct from other 5-HT2A agonists like LSD or psilocybin, suggesting additional mechanisms. The scientific materialist explanation posits that DMT simply disinhibits the visual cortex and other brain regions, causing a cascade of neural noise that the brain interprets as a coherent reality. This is known as the rebooting brain theory. On the other hand, the revealed reality theory proposes that DMT actually allows the brain to perceive a normally hidden dimension of reality, much like a radio receiver tuned to a new frequency. Both theories have their proponents, but the consistency of the DMT experience across cultures and individuals is difficult to explain solely by neural noise. The existence of endogenous DMT also raises intriguing questions about its role in dreams, near-death experiences, and mystical states. Some researchers speculate that the pineal gland may release DMT at birth, during deep meditation, or at the moment of death, potentially explaining the commonalities between DMT experiences and reports of the afterlife. The DMT realm challenges our materialistic worldview by presenting a consistent, shared, and seemingly external reality that is not dependent on personal belief or cultural background. If the entities and environments are merely hallucinations, why are they so similar across different people? And why do they convey coherent, meaningful messages that often lead to profound personal transformations? The implications are staggering. If DMT reveals a real dimension, then consciousness may not be confined to the brain but can access other realms. This aligns with theories of panpsychism, idealism, and the simulation hypothesis. Moreover, the messages about love and purpose suggest that the universe is not indifferent, but may have a creative, even benevolent core. For many users, the experience is life-changing, reducing fear of death and increasing appreciation for life. Whether you view DMT as a key to another reality or a window into the brain's deepest architecture, it forces us to reconsider the nature of existence. In the end, the DMT realm invites us to explore the ultimate question: what is consciousness, and what is its place in the cosmos?